Queen Margrethe II turned her back on her grandson, an unexpected twist of fate for Count Nikolai. The news sent shockwaves through the Danish royal family and the nation as a whole. Queen Margrethe II, the revered monarch who had ruled over the kingdom for decades, had made the stunning decision to strip her own grandson, Count Nikolai, of his royal title and privileges. The reasons behind this unprecedented move were shrouded in mystery, leaving the public and the royal family itself grappling with a profound sense of confusion and disbelief. For Count Nikolai, the sudden fall from grace was a devastating blow, shattering the foundations of a life he had known since birth. As the eldest son of Prince Joachim, the Queen's youngest son, he had grown up immersed in the traditions and responsibilities of the Danish royal dynasty, his future seemingly assured within the protective embrace of the crown. Yet, in a single, fateful decision, that future had been upended, leaving the young count to confront the harsh realities of a world outside the gilded halls of the palace. It was as if the very ground had been pulled out from under him, remarked one royal insider, speaking on the condition of anonymity. Nikolai had always known the comfort and security of his royal status, and to have that taken away so abruptly must have been absolutely devastating. Indeed, the public reaction to the Queen's decision was one of shock and dismay, with many loyal subjects expressing outrage at what they perceived as a cruel and unjust act towards a member of the royal family. "How could she do this to her own flesh and blood?" lamented one longtime supporter of the monarchy. "Nikolai has done nothing to deserve such harsh treatment. This is a betrayal of the very values that the crown is supposed to represent." Yet, as the dust began to settle and the initial wave of public outcry subsided, a more nuanced and complex narrative began to emerge, one that painted a picture of a young man struggling to find his place in a rapidly changing world. It emerged that in the years leading up to the Queen's decision, Nikolai had found himself increasingly drawn towards the glamour and allure of the fashion industry, forging a successful career as a sought-after model. While his royal lineage had opened doors and afforded him opportunities that few could dream of, the trappings of his birthright had begun to chafe, as he sought to forge his own path and carve out an identity distinct from the shadow of the crown. Nikolai was always a bit of a free spirit, someone who marched to the beat of his own drum, a close friend of the family revealed. "I think the Queen saw his growing detachment from the royal traditions as a threat, and in her own way, she was trying to steer him back towards the path she had envisioned for him." Yet, in the end, the Queen's heavy-handed approach had the opposite effect, driving Nikolai further away from the family and the institution he had once held so dear. Stripped of his titles and the privileges that came with them, the young count found himself thrust into the unforgiving glare of the public spotlight, his every move and misstep scrutinized with a merciless intensity. But in the face of this adversity, Nikolai proved to be made of sterner stuff than anyone had anticipated. Rather than retreating into the shadows, he embraced his newfound freedom, using it as a springboard to launch himself further into the world of high fashion, quickly becoming one of the most sought-after male models in Europe. This was his chance to prove himself, to show the world that he was more than just a royal title, remarked one industry insider. And he's done it with a grace and resilience that has truly astounded everyone who knows him. As the months passed, the public's initial outrage towards the Queen's decision began to soften, replaced by a newfound respect and admiration for the young count's unwavering determination. And while the rift between Nikolai and his grandmother remained a deeply personal and private matter, the people of Denmark rallied behind the young man, seeing in him a symbol of the boundless potential that lay beyond the confines of the royal dynasty. In the end, perhaps the Queen's decision was the greatest gift she could have given her grandson, mused one royal biographer. It forced him to confront the realities of the world outside the palace walls, and in doing so, he has discovered a strength and sense of self that will serve him well in the years to come. And as Nikolai continues to soar to new heights, both in the world of fashion and in the hearts of the Danish people, the shadow of his former royal status has begun to fade, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and a bold, unwavering spirit that has captured the imagination of a nation.